World of Tanks vents. So I did some research regarding vents on World of Tanks. Basically, I have a theory. Vents, food consumables, BIA, they improve your crew skills. And if you have every single crew skill and your crew is at 100%, vents is going to give you more of a bonus, and the food consumable will give you more of a bonus, and the vent purge directive gives you more of a bonus, and you get more of a benefit from BIA. So I went through a few different tanks and I put in different equipment such as a gun laying drive, gun rammer, coated optics, vents with the directive food consumable, and of course the BIA cruise skill. Basically, having vents well equipped with food and the vent purge directive is the same as having a gun laying drive, a gun rammer, and optics. And in the best situation, you want the bounty vents with the fire control system and the mobility improvement system. So I'm going to use the example with the gun laying drive on the AE phase 1. The normal aim time is 234. With the GLD, it's 213, and with vents, it's 217. And again, this is vents, BIA, vent purge, food consumable, and every crew skill. The difference is negligible, 0.04. So having all of this is like having a gun laying drive. With the gun rammer, it went from 10.31 down to 9.53. The gun rammer is 9.28 seconds. It's clearly not identical, but it's quite close, which means that having the vents, the directive, food consumable, and BIA is almost equal to having a gun rammer. You get quite a bit of a benefit, especially on vehicles with a long reload, such as the AMX 13105, which also doesn't have a gun rammer. With coated optics, in this case, it says that vents did better than coated optics. The vents, event purge, food consumable, situational awareness, recon, etc. I didn't see it with the other vehicles, so I must have made a configuration error. However, when you compare the 419 to the 456 and the 447, having vents is almost equivalent to adding coated optics. And it only uses one slot. And it always gets the benefit of being the first slot. When the first slot has a benefit with the higher tier tanks, vents always works in that slot. So then you have the option of enhancing your vehicle by adding a gun laying drive, a gun rammer, or optics in the other slots. Obviously, you've got the vertical stabilizers. There's other equipment. I didn't measure everything. And the reason why is because the vertical stabilizer doesn't give you a specific value. It's not quantifiable because it says something like minus 20% on your bloom, but it's not quantified as a specific value. So that's why I didn't include it and I didn't even measure it. So then I looked at the Object 260, and we'll look at the reload. It goes from 10.31 to 9.53, and with the gun rammer, it's 9.28. So the gun rammer beats vents. However, vents gives you a pretty good deal. With the gun laying drive, vents and the gun laying drive are almost equivalent, 0.04 difference, which is the same as the AE phase 1. Very similar. And then with dispersion, you get the benefit from dispersion. You get the benefit from repairs. It's like 10% faster for repairs. Same with the AE phase 1. With camo, the camouflage was better. For some reason, I didn't see it on every vehicle. I didn't see it with the AMX 13105. It's possible I configured it wrong. And with the view range, it's also almost equal to the coated optics. Again, that's vents, vent purge, food consumable, BIA, and every skill. When I did optics, I think I also did it with every skill. So they're pretty equivalent. Vents is almost equivalent to those three plus the others like the vertical stabilizer, etc. I'll probably do another video that checks everything. So then I said, well, what about the fire control system, the mobility improvement, etc.? And I also tested with the bounty vents. I did not do, did I say bounty? I meant the improved vents, which is the ones you pay for using bonds. I did not test the bounty or trophy vents, I think they call it in Russia. Because it's in the middle, it doesn't matter. So when you add the improved vents, I saw an improvement. AMX 13105 doesn't have a gun rammer, so it's the only way to improve it. With the gun laying drive, it was 2 versus 201, which is better than 10% over the 2.21. With dispersion, you get the improvement. With repairs, there was no improvement for some reason. Camo, no improvement. With the view range, it was pretty good. Not the same as coated optics, but it was pretty good. So then when you add the improved vents that you pay for using bonds and everything else, including the vent purge, the mobility improvement system, which is experimental equipment, level 2, the fire control system, which is experimental equipment level 2, you get better aim time. You get good repair time, and what all the other improvements that come with this equipment. So I think the ideal setup, if you can do it, bonded vents or improved vents, and then 2 pieces of experimental equipment. You're probably going to do level 2 because it's a good, affordable deal, and it allows you to use it on more vehicles. Then I checked the FV215B183, and the reason why is it's got the long reload, and it has the big bloom, the larger aim time, the greater aim time. So again, you see a pretty good improvement. You can get 2 seconds better and 3 seconds better with the gun rammer. And then aim time, definitely a lot better. And then dispersion is pretty good. Repair time didn't change. Camo didn't change. And with the improved vents, it was almost equal to coated optics. So I am going to change all of my vehicles next time there's a sale on equipment, and I'm going to purchase vents. What you want to do is, when there's a sale, you want to sell all of your equipment before the sale, so you have the cash to buy the vents, and then afterwards sell anything when the price goes back to normal that you're not going to use, and buy the vents at half the price. And then you don't lose any money. It's more of an exchange for other goods. The other thing is, when you win something, when you win a prize and it says bounty item and you get to choose, my suggestion is choose vents if you have a lot of tanks. And then choose one of the other items if there's something specific you want to fix on a tank. And then last of all, with your bonds, buy a few of the bonded equipment and make sure you have enough bonds for directives, because the directives do help. And some of the directives you can obviously pay for with cash. If you have a lot of money, it can obviously be worth it. Okay, so I'm going to be doing more research on this with other vehicles, and I'm going to be doing research with other equipment. Basically, I'm going to have to test every piece of equipment, but that's going to be a future video, so keep your eye out for that. It's going to be World of Tanks equipment tips about vents and BIA and food consumables. Okay, so also, if you play other modes like Frontline, you're going to change the way you configure it. For example, I used to have my commanders without the uh, the thing that alerts you when you're spotted, intuition, whatever they call it. So I used to take that off the commander, and I had crew members just for Frontline. But now I don't do that anymore. But I could. So you're going to have equipment just for frontline because you're probably going to fire the gun more. You want gun stabilization and fire control, and anything that keeps you in the game longer. You don't need a health kit, for example, because you can go to the repair circle and restore your health. Okay, so if you have any questions or comments, please post below. And I am the owner of cheapbooks.com. If you want to look for books and textbooks, go to cheapbooks.com. There's actually 650 million listings. So it's a very big database. And by the end of 2024, it's easily going to be over a billion or maybe even 1.5 billion. Okay, if you have any questions or comments, please post below.